If you were going to analyse the success of a major band like the Arctic Monkeys, you might consider things like cultural relevance and witty satirical lyrics and great haircuts, but we're guitar players, we're simple folk, so let's just talk about chord progressions. In particular, a very vintage style chord progression behind one of their greatest hits. Right, so first of all, let's just make sure we're all on the same page. In music, there is a thing called the major scale, and understanding the major scale is really crucial for understanding how chord progressions are constructed. Here is the major scale in the key of C. And you're finding it desperately riveting already, I can tell. As I say though, this is really crucial for understanding what we're going to go on to talk about with regards to chord progressions. So the major scale in the key of C is the following notes: C, D, E, F, G, A, and B, before we then return to C. So it has 7 different notes. It's all the natural notes, all the white keys of the piano, no sharps or flats. Now, we can harmonise that scale, that is to say, combine notes from it with each other to derive a set of chords from that scale. And these chords will automatically sound in key with each other. And from there we can construct very satisfying chord progressions. So for example, if we take the first note in the scale, the C, and we combine that with the third note in the scale, which was E, and the fifth note in the scale, which was G, we have a C major triad, a C major chord. And we can repeat that process for every note within the scale. So for example, let's say we were going to start with the A, which is the 6th note in the major scale, the C major scale. And we combine that with the note 3 notes above it and 5 notes above it. So that would give us A, C, and E, which is an A minor triad or A minor chord. So we know straight away we can move between the C chord and the A minor chord, and it doesn't sound at all jarring or surprising. They sound like they belong together. Then we're going to do the same thing from the F note. And again, go up 3 notes within the C major scale. So that's going to bring us to an A note. And then up 5 notes above F, which would be C. Which gives us an F major chord. Then we're also going to do it from the note of G. Again, up 3 notes within the C major scale from G, brings us to B, and then 5 notes above the G is a D, which is a G major chord. So we're going to put those 4 chords in a sequence together. We're going from C, A minor, F, G. What musos might call a 1-6-4-5, because we're starting on the 1st chord within the scale, to the 6th, to the 4th, to the 5th. But you probably cottoned onto that already. So it... And there you have, if it doesn't sound too grandiose, one of the most important chord sequences in all of the Western canon. It's the backbone of a whole era of songwriting. You're probably recognising it already. It's used in songs like Stand By Me, The Hop, Please Mr. Postman, Teenager in Love, All I Have to Do Is Dream, da 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 da. But you can find an example of that chord progression being used in pretty much any era. It is in different keys, of course. It's Do You Make Her by Led Zeppelin, it's Crocodile Rock by Elton John, it's Capital Radio by The Clash, 80s Life by The Good, The Bad and The Queen, Me by Taylor Swift. It comes up time and time again. There's just something endlessly satisfying about that chord loop. However, what we're talking about is a little bit of a variation of that chord progression. Now, this very popular variation of that chord sequence is what's often known as the Doo-Wop chord sequence. Now, this involves something which is often called diatonic substitution. This is where we're substituting out one of those chords for another one within the key. In this case, we are going to change that 4 chord. Instead of playing the F, we are going to substitute in the relative minor of F, which is D minor. So harmonically, a very similar role is being fulfilled here, but texturally it's just a little bit different. So we end up with a sequence that goes C major, A minor, D minor, G. Now, as I say, this is completely diatonic. It's completely within our key of C major. D minor would be chord number 2 in the key of C major. D, F, and A. So we have... perhaps most famously Blue Moon, and for many people this is a slightly more sophisticated variation on the 1-6-4-5. That extra minor chord brings in a little bit of extra delicacy, a little bit of extra melancholy perhaps. It doesn't sound quite so blunderingly obvious as a 1-6-4-5, maybe, to some people anyway. And this one has certainly done the rounds as well. The Beatles were very fond of this one. They used it in songs like Tell Me Why, in the key of C, I believe. Where they played the G as a dominant 7. And to get the most out of this, it's worth figuring out what it would be in different keys as well. So, for example, Hungry Heart by Bruce Springsteen does this same sequence in the key of D flat. So the exact same thing. It's going from chord 1 to chord 6 to chord 2 to chord 5. So that's going to give us D flat, B flat minor, E flat minor, A flat. And it's certainly been a bit of an influence on the Arctic Monkeys, I would say. Let's have a look. So for our example here, we are going to shift over to the key of E major. So our notes in an E major scale are E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp, and D sharp. So if we construct our doo-wop chord sequence starting from the E chord, which is our 1 chord, we then move to the chord built off the 6th degree of the scale, which was C sharp. So that is going to give us a C sharp minor. Then to the chord built off the 2nd degree of the scale, which was F sharp. So that's going to be an F sharp minor. And then chord 5 is built off of the B. So we have B major. So the Arctic Monkeys sped it up a little bit and got rid of that slight sway to it, played it with a little bit of a straighter, harder edge. fills in between. So you have, for all their innovation, a very timeless bit of songwriting there. Classic, vintage era chord progression in Fluorescent Adolescent. And there we go. So remember to rate the classics next time you're writing a song. They do tend to serve you pretty well. Thanks ever so much for watching. If you found it interesting or enjoyable or just mildly diverting, please consider liking and subscribing. Really do appreciate it. And thanks again. I'll see you with something else soon. Cheers.